Thanks for having me, everyone. I've been asked to tell a little bit about my story today and a couple of lessons I've learned along the way, and how this whole thing came to be. Sufferfest Beer Company, we describe ourselves as a functional beverage company. What is that? Of course, outside of great flavor, taste, and profile, we want to add extra benefits and health properties where we can. Our 5 products that we have in market right now are all gluten removed foundationally. We've just released our first more functional beers this spring, our FKT. Some buyers just got it wrong and asked for the fuck it when they first ordered it, but our fastest known time, our electrolytic and nutritive rich pale ale, and our low cal, low carb, keto friendly superfood bee pollen kolsch. I still describe Sufferfest as a happy accident. My last 13 years in business have been in high-tech product and brand marketing. I was running marketing at a company called Strava, a social fitness application for endurance athletes. I happen to be, not at the moment, but happen to be an endurance athlete. I run competitively in the Headlands in Northern California. I've always identified myself as an athlete, played college tennis, soccer, and then picked up my running shoes. But never identified myself as a beer drinker until I really started running. And at the finish line, after a race, after my track workouts, the thing that I only want is a great tasting beer. It's what I quench, it's what I need. Not only that, but it's our social lubricant. It was my excuse to talk to a buddy about the hill on mile 20 or the gash on someone's knee, to get a carpool situation for the next race. At about 2010, I had to tackle some pretty big health issues that forced me to drop beer from my diet. So I went out on a search for beverages that I could digest that would be a great replacement for that aftermath drink, and turned up short. Between, I think, sugary ciders and ornate gluten-free beers with barley adjuncts, nothing tasted good. I would bring a grab bag of different beverages to that finish line moment, and my friends would ridicule me. We'd all sort of choke them down. And I really tried to get past that, but I couldn't. I complained a lot. My boyfriend, now husband at the time, decided it wasn't a good look for me, and for my birthday got me a home brewing kit and class. In 2012, I signed up for my first home brewing course to see if I could make a healthy, decent tasting beer that I could consume and digest as a competitive athlete. The rest is history. I immediately understood the fundamentals of beer making, and I had my first aha moment. Beer is naturally high in fiber, so it's a natural probiotic, has probiotic qualities, has B6 and B12 naturally. It's great for iron deficiency, which is good for women as we age. It's 80% water. What a great canvas to start fortifying. And I thought, man, if we are doing all these great things to our food products, why not start to think about improving our celebratory beverages? And Sufferfest Beer Company was born. A lot of people ask me, what does Sufferfest mean? It's a term of endearment for the endurance community, for sure. The feeling that you feel when you finish something you just couldn't stand, that your body hurt, the anguish of racing or putting good forth and effort. The moment that you finish is the Sufferfest. That is the aftermath. That is the time when you want to celebrate. And when I was first putting Sufferfest together as a business plan, it was definitely a working title. But as I started putting the components of how to start a business together, nothing was more appropriate than the term Sufferfest, so it stuck. In 2016, about 4 years after I started brewing, I walked the streets of San Francisco with my leopard cooler and my prototype bagged beer, and went down the aisles of my local grocery stores, and restaurants. I basically had aspirations to have my beer in store shelves around my neighborhood for my friends, my run club, my track club to drink. And I think within the first day, we had about 30 accounts signed up. In the first 6 months, about 200 accounts signed up. I thought that I would sell Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, I would drive and deliver with my Prius. But on day one, that was not going to happen. That was not going to work. So we started self-distributing. I found a 3PL service in San Francisco. And from day one, we were self-distributing. I was going in, selling our functional beer to buyers, and delivering the next day. And so that model really allowed me to gain a lot of rapport with retailers, but open up doors from San Francisco to Tahoe to San Diego overnight. It was definitely an overnight situation. I didn't know how to grapple with, I think, the expectations that I first had and how they were being exceeded along the way. I didn't know it at the time, but I think we had stumbled into one of the fastest growing categories within beer. That is essentially how we got started. So I started brewing beer for the multiple tenets of an athlete, and we believe, again, that our beer is designed not only to address people who are looking for alternative beers like ciders, but we also believe that we stand up against the best conventional flavors out there. A lot of our awards and accolades come from being in a taste test up against some of the best, most well-known craft beers out there. And of course, we're looking to really align ourselves with an audience that has been talked to before, but not necessarily talked with and addressed with. And we believe we can be that leading beer for athletes. Along our way and along our growth, we have always kept our tribe, woman and male, in our views. We believe in the sweaty consumer. We focus on them from day one. We believe in reaching out to people who want to earn their beer, and that's never wavered. We originally decided to not go into any sort of CapEx investment into a brewery or tap room model. I design my recipes locally and then work with a partner brewer. That was, that model was allowed me to immediately get onto shelf space and protect shelves and really focus on the type of brand that we're going to be. And, our tap room right now is at the Crag, is at Leadville, is at the racing, cycling, Soul Cycle gyms. We really try to meet our audience at the point of inspiration and then drive them back to retail and at grocery where most of our business is done. Over time, of course, we think a lot about place and sense of place and brick and mortar. But for us, that taproom model doesn't necessarily fit with who we're trying to reach, and that's very self-referentially. We don't see ourselves brewing that whimsical beer and having folks come into a tap room in the middle of an afternoon, but rather meeting them out there, being that refrigerator beer, and meeting them at the point of inspiration. So we work with a lot of pro athletes, a lot of influencers, and a lot of brands that have helped us gain credibility and gain traction among our tribe. Part of that is, that growth and acceleration has been due to aligning ourselves with really great outdoor and active brands. Again, we see ourselves as an active brand, and our gear is beer. I think a lot of brands out there who are trying to enhance their own proposition and their own values have looked to us now and found a common partner in terms of the values that we share, which has allowed us to go into new markets and really be endorsed and receive the credibility that we wouldn't otherwise have received. Again, part of our growth has not necessarily been because we're San Francisco's beer. That was the original aspiration, and then it became California's beer, and then all of a sudden we started getting a lot of interest from people who had tried us at different races around the country that had a national appeal, and then went back and wanted to order us from all different types of locations and communities. We set up a DTC model to help support that group of people, but what we realized was that we really weren't any city's beer. We weren't really following the conventional practices of craft beer, but rather we fit a psychographic membership and tribe around that earning your beer and being that better for you consumer beer, which has really allowed us to work with these types of brands to move into new territories that we wouldn't normally be welcomed and be endorsed by really rapidly and heavily. So moving into lessons learned, that's the name of the game here. First and foremost, I'll do 1 and 2 here. So higher authenticity and enthusiasm over experience. We're a team of 14 now. There was one of us in 2016. 2.5 years later, we're 14 folks, 7 of which are our sales team. But none of us actually come from the beer business or beverage business, not even our sales team. They're D1 competitive college players. We come from all walks of life, but we are driven by our will to win, our competitive nature, and our ability to sell well. We're just sort of authentic through and through, and that enthusiasm really bleeds over into our sales success that we received on that retail side. Going the extra mile, that is our mantra internally. We are bootstrapped, we barely have any money, and we consider ourselves the craft Michelob Ultra, frankly, and they have a lot of dollars, but we're starting to see ourselves displace them and move them out of a lot of brand opportunities and a brand involvement because we show up, we sweat, we're the real deal, we're the athletes themselves, and our constituents and our tribe really sees that, and I think really appreciates that this day and age, and I think this audience knows that all too well, that an affinity with that brand and the ability to connect with a brand is important. Convention is overrated. I definitely I felt like a fish out of water from day one, going right into a contract brewing relationship, being a high-tech brand marketer and runner. What was I supposed to do in this business? But the fact that we've jiu-jitsu'd this business and we've thought about this in unconventional ways, being very self-referential almost to a fault, have actually led to our advantage and our growth in so many ways by leveraging our brand partners and being true to ourselves. Things break. My first year of running this company, I operated on a doom and gloom status quo that the next shoe was about to drop, and it eventually did. But things breaking now have been great. It means that we're pushing through the mold. We are testing the waters in terms of our production, our capacity. And that will never end, and I hope it never ends. And so that discomfort is leading to great things. We've just, after 2.5 years, we've hit every door that we could possibly service with our self-distribution model. We've gained a lot of demand, so we've just now switched on our wholesaler and distribution model and moving up and down the state of California, Colorado, and the Pac Northwest. And so that's a great testament to things breaking and then finding a new solve, and they will break again, but we are off to the races to be at every sweaty venue and event and fridge in America. Teamwork makes the dream work. I don't know about the whole lean in thing. I feel like I've leaned in my whole life, and now I kind of want to lean out a little bit and find a way to sustain my life as a parent and a mom and also run a beer business at the same time. And so part of my growth and my development has been building a team, looking for senior hires, understanding our strengths and weaknesses, but obviously having a team to support it. And like I mentioned, our team is very unconventional, and I'm going to probably keep it that way. And we stand for something. When I first started this back in 2016, my husband, he runs a B Corp. We're avid recyclers. We're Northern California crunchers. And, being a consumables company with one-time use consumption really bothered me. So from the very beginning, I started thinking about what we could do to make a difference to offset our carbon load. We're a proud B Corp, and we have been. Every 2 years, we go through a cycle where our charter is held accountable for social and environmental sustainability. We give back with beer, with hours served from our staff. We protect our national parks and the places that we run and play. We believe that the brand can be bigger than beer. We call it a beverage company because we have a lot in store for our products themselves, but more than that, people correlating our brand with outdoor, with fitness, with a healthier lifestyle. And we believe it can really live in that brick and mortar model where a tap room might not be what we design, but rather a clubhouse where athletes can come, get their bike tuned or their feet fitted for new shoes, but also have a pint glass, learn about a social mission, and do something with their time that's more meaningful. This has helped with recruiting as well, as we all get around something that's super, super important to us. Those are my 6 lessons. This is what I've learned. I will now see if anyone has any questions, but thank you for your time. Yeah, absolutely. Our live event strategy is really important to our growth. Like I mentioned, we work with a lot of athletes that have more or less come to us saying, this is the only beer that I drink. In fact, we have a professional NASCAR driver who decided that he was going to wrap his whole car at the Save Mart 350 this summer in Sonoma and give us his car for the day and a big event around our beer. Another way that we think about our distribution model is through live events in stadiums. So there's so much discussion around that fan format and that fan beer. So we work with Oracle Arena, SAP Center, AT&T Park, Hollywood Bowl, places where people still want to feel a part of the game and part of the athlete's life. But we do work tribe to tribe, from surf to cycle, and we believe that our new products can open up tribes, regions, seasons, along with functionality. So right now I mentioned we have an electrolytic and nutritive-rich beer. We have a keto-friendly beer. We're getting into CBD, non-alcoholic, again, to be addressing the multiple tenets of an athlete, but also very self-referentially to our tribe and what we go through in terms of training days, rest days, and how our beer fits into an occasion. So again, it's about our brand correlating with a lifestyle. Is that helpful? Yeah. Okay. Certainly, yeah. So right now we operate in California and Colorado. That's where we sell our beer direct. Like I mentioned, we do host and are part of events that have national pull, like a Leadville or an Escape from Alcatraz. Folks will go back to Stowe or Miami, ask for the beer, and then we've now set up a DTC system that can get beer to 35 states, for better or for worse. So we're able to do that right now. However, we do start to see trends and hot spots where you can see certainly where cities are going, where cities are known for their adventure crew and their adventure constituents. We do see a lot of brand work and a lot of athletes. Take Austin, for instance. That's one we're debating. From an Outdoor Voices collaboration to Lance Armstrong asking for kegs himself, to Whole Foods Market asking for our product in their store. Obviously, we start to get a great Venn diagram of overlap where we know that the brand already is getting pulled out there. We're already seeing athletes and influencers taking it rogue. And then, of course, we start setting up our wholesaler system to follow. So we pick and choose it. We don't believe necessarily in going and opening up this brand nationwide. We believe in going into select beachheads and going a mile deep and an inch wide, really focusing on our community and those who do want to earn their beer. So the cities that are coming up in our plan are certainly thoughtfully chosen, but it's because the brand has led and the sales are following. Thanks for your question. All right. So we don't have a 12-pack right now. We have a 6-pack, and that is $12.99 for a 6-pack MSRP. We just moved over from our 16-ounce format to our 12-ounce format, and we're again seeing really great velocity at that premium price point within the craft and style sections. So, yes. Yeah. So again, we sort of are, this, when I was at Strava, I mean, how this sort of thing sort of started was I was in a unique position where race directors and brand partners and pro athletes were coming up to me asking for kegs for their summer training camps and their different programs and events. So we originally started getting some inbound interest from professional athletes. We work with them to spend a lot of time on our social media. We really do focus on storytelling. We believe we are in a storytelling exercise at Sufferfest. And so between influencers in and around, cherry-picked around this country, and our professional athlete team, we do a lot to sort of keep our marketing robust. But again, it really comes down to that offline liquid-to-lip strategy that we have, and then driving people back to our digital channels, and then eventually to our off-premise sales channel. Thank you. All right. Okay, that's time. Thanks, everybody.